Well, good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, it is a privilege to be here today. I'm going to address the first bit to that crowd up at the back there. It's here. It has arrived. That great day, the one that you've been waiting for, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the getting assignments in just in time, the panicking about those presentations in front of your peers, the juggling with the part-time or full-time job, the juggling with home and social life, that collision sometimes of social life, maybe a late night with an early morning lecture, never good. But you've got through all that and you're here now, so let it in. That's what I would say, let it in. It is, as I say, a privilege for me to be here today to do this address. And really what follows, when I thought about the task at hand here today, I thought that I would just look back at the first time I graduated and look at some of the things that I've learnt through reflection along my journey to date, a journey that still continues. So first off, dreamers versus doers. I've found that many people make the mistake of continually setting big goals, have far-out dreams, aspiring for the big job, the promotion, the big salary, the ultimate lifestyle. And they're in continuous pursuit of something else, always something else. On a scale of being less happy and less successful to more happy and more successful, I found, believe it or not, those big dreamers are less happy and less successful. I found that it is a much better approach to look at life and to look at your career and look at the balance between both as a continuous journey, as opposed to always having that dream. It needs to be about what you want and like to do every day, as opposed to what you want to be someday. But here's the good news. I have found and I have witnessed along the way that if you engage in, if you work hard and enjoy the journey, guess what? The results will follow. I'm a fan now of pursuing shorter-term goals. I have learned to be careful of the long-term dreams because I find that if you have a focus of too far into the future, you miss the opportunities that are right here beside you, maybe just out of the corner of your eye. The ones that are here today that will help you on that next step in your journey, that next learn that you have in your journey. A mentor, good old friend of mine, a number of years, once said to me, Michael, while dreamers are dreaming, the really happy people, the positive people, the engaged people, the successful people are doing. The word graduation, it's interesting, comes from a Latin gradus, which effectively means step. The first graduation events in the early European centres of education marked the first steps of the graduates into society to start and develop their careers and deliver impact in their own way in society. It was the first steps. I didn't know that when I graduated. I thought I'd got there, I'd arrived, and I was going to go out and take over the world. It took me a wee while to work out that I hadn't got there and that I had just taken those very early steps. I have since learnt to really enjoy the journey. Today, whilst being the conclusion of sort of this stage of your academic life, and may there be more, it's really the first steps on the next stage of your journey. So my advice is to commit to the journey, not to the outcome, not to the dream. The second wee bit of advice when looking back is be entrepreneurial. And I'm talking about developing, if you don't already have it, an entrepreneurial outlook, entrepreneurial behaviour. No matter what you do or what you will be doing in the future on your journey, whatever you're doing will have a purpose. What you're doing will have a purpose, a reason for doing what you're doing. When it works and when what you're doing works, you will be effective. What you're doing will deliver a benefit. It will provide a service. It will provide an improvement to a process. And others and groups of others, and operations and processes will benefit as a result of that. My advice to you is to get into the space where you look at what you're doing and say, how can I improve this process? How can I improve this design? How can I enhance this service? And it's in that space where the entrepreneurial spark is ignited. I would look at the engineers amongst us and say, you know, day in, day out, you'll be designing processes, designing infrastructure, working on systems, working in operations. There'll be beneficiaries, there'll be people who benefit from that. So think about that space in the middle of how you can improve, how you can be entrepreneurial. The hospitality and tourism students amongst you will be developing operational improvements, will be developing real experiential services that will deliver service and benefits to customers and tourists and so on. What about that space in the middle? What can you do to improve? Be entrepreneurial. And guess what? You're in an incredibly, incredibly exciting time to be entrepreneurial. You have the opportunity to shape change through embracing and adapting technology, which is moving faster than any time in the history of humans on Earth. As an example of these people who use technology to disrupt for good, look at it on a global scale. Uber is now the biggest taxi company in the world. Guess what? They don't own any taxis. Airbnb is the biggest accommodation facilitator in the world. Guess what? They don't own any hotels, guest houses, or bed and breakfasts. Amazon, my goodness, this last couple of weeks, the biggest retailer in the world. Guess what? They don't own any shops. They have taken something that we know and do. They have embraced technology to disrupt and effectively, although it's arguable in some cases, improve delivery. That's where you need to be, in that space. More locally, I've had the privilege in my new job recently to be out and about amongst all of those entrepreneurs that were referred to earlier on. You go to close to Newry and you have a company there founded by local entrepreneurs called StatSports, embracing technology to really deep dive and optimize work around sports performance management all around the world. They're working with all the big teams in the world. Look at the whole area of tech and business. I've had the privilege this week to use augmented reality to sell Northern Ireland as a tourism destination. It's just incredible what we can do, and you're in that exciting space now. So pause and think, how can I embrace or adapt technology to make a difference, to disrupt something positively? Entrepreneurial behaviour can also be for those who just want to get out there and start up and go for it and do it themselves in their own business. Again, you know, just locally, I've had an opportunity recently to engage with CDE Global. Sounds like a big international company. CDE Global started by an entrepreneur who walked into a local enterprise agency in 1992. Is now the #1 in the world in the manufacture, distribution and servicing of stonewashing equipment. #1 in the world, which is just incredible. Then you have examples like Chain Reaction. I had a privilege again to listen to their story quite recently. A small family-operated bicycle shop in Ballyclare, County Antrim. Embrace technology, embrace the new way to promote and sell online. It is the #1 online bicycle retailer in the world. And that's the sort of entrepreneurs that we have here in Northern Ireland. But again, you can be entrepreneurial and be within an organisation, be within your community, be within your community group, your local sports club or whatever. That's about the whole area of entrepreneurial behaviour. Some people refer to it as intrapreneurial. Being entrepreneurial within a large organisation. We think of Facebook, we think of Mark Zuckerberg, the entrepreneur, but actually he also harnessed entrepreneurship in a big way. He developed the concept of hackathons. He and his senior team, hackathons where he got his coders and engineers in. They used to work all night, copious amounts of coffee, just to come up with ideas. And it was during one of those hackathons, internal entrepreneurial sessions, that someone came up with the idea of the like button. The like button, they say, was the one element, one component of the Facebook experience that transformed it and catapulted into one of the top social platforms in the world. And obviously we know other platforms went on to copy the like button in their own version. And I know that Southwest College, my goodness, with that last video, really puts innovation and entrepreneurial thinking at its heart as well. You have Infotech and you have the idea centres. And I've learned a new terminology here. I think it's the passive house premium. Would that be correct, or close to it? Wow, what an incredible statement in this part of Northern Ireland in terms of having an entrepreneurial approach to the future. So I leave it over to you. It's up to you. Embrace, disrupt, and make a difference. Thirdly, when I look back and reflect, a little bit of advice is it's not just about you. Now today's about you guys up at the back there. It's very much about you, and I would encourage you later on, milk it. It's all about you today. If there's a meal out, it's a starter, main course, and sweet, and a large bottle of Prosecco at the start. Absolutely, today is all about you. But one incredible transformational bit of advice that I received once was that line, Michael, listen, it's not all about you. Let me tell you. So I'm going to tell you a short story as to when that transformational occasion happened in my life. I started in the hospitality sector and worked a lot of my life in the hospitality sector. And I trained as a hotel manager, just post-grad. And as part of that training, I went from department to department in a large hotel in London. I learned back of house, reception, the food and beverage side, the restaurants, the conference facilities, and so on. And you went through each section and you learnt the operations of it. And then, because you were in the trainee management scheme, you went and you learnt to become a supervisor or a trainee manager. And then you were checked by one of the senior managers to see if you could progress to the next stage. I was in the housekeeping section, and I had learned how to clean a bedroom and bathroom absolutely perfectly. I was very proud of the cleanliness, and the folds on my bedclothes and what have you were just utter perfection. I'd then done the little supervision bit. I'd worked as a housekeeper for a couple of weeks, and it came the day that I was being checked. I was being assessed by the senior housekeeper. And so what I had to do was, the housekeeping team had cleaned a couple of rooms, and I had to go into one room, and I had to do a check. We had our clipboards, and I would come out and then hand over to the senior housekeeper and say, okay, I'm happy with that check. And she would check my check. So she said, are you ready, Michael? And Anna was our head housekeeper, a very tall German lady, and a bit scary, to be honest with you, but she said, right, away you go. So I went into the room, and I checked, all around the room. There were pictures, and I'm rather small, so I had to reach up because there were people taller than me. So I checked along the top of the pictures for some dust. We'd always been taught to check that. Check those hospital folds at the side of the bed. Nowadays housekeeping staff have it easy with quilts. We had to make the beds, the undersheets, the sheets. But I was proud of those. But I just checked, one of them was hanging out a little bit, so I folded it in properly to London Tower Hotel standard and made a little note, so I was proud of that. I checked either side of the beds for the bedside tables. They used to have Gideon Bibles in there just to check to make sure, because people used to do all sorts of things. Checked with those. Checked for marks on tops of the tables, found a little mark, gave it a little wipe, brought it back up to the standard, made a note of that, went into the bathroom. Now, London Tower Hotel, where I worked, had 880 bedrooms in the centre of London, so space economy, we would have needed the engineers amongst you, was of a premium. So the bathroom was designed very efficiently. You opened the door, and there was a toilet, then there was a sink, then there was a bath with a stand-up shower. There was a wall, and then the door closed like that. So it was a rather efficient piece of space. So I went in and I checked the usual for splashes. The little toilet roll, the little pointy bit on it, and the sticker and whatnot. Checked all of it. I found a couple of things, walked out and said, Anna, I'm happy. And Anna said, are you sure? And I said, yes. So Anna walked in, and she wasn't in 30 seconds. She'd gone and turned left into the bathroom and said, Michael, into the bathroom. And when a tall German girl tells you to get into the bathroom, you go into the bathroom. And I walked into the bathroom, and she said, sit on the toilet. And when a tall German girl tells you to sit on the toilet, so I sat in the toilet, and she said, look up. And at this stage, she'd stepped in, closed the door, and I looked up. And behind the door in the top corner, there was a tiny little post-it, a little piece of a yellow post-it stuck in the ceiling up there. And she said, get that down. And I had to jump, the size of me. I jumped, pulled it down, and it said on it, you missed this. And I was absolutely gutted. I thought my career had completely gone out the window. The degree that I'd carried off a stage was just floating away. Having thought that I was there, I knew everything. Everything was just going down the toilet in front of me. And she said then, bend over the bath. Now, when a tall German girl tells you to bend over the bath, so I bent over the bath and I looked underneath the tap, and there was another little yellow post-it, and I peeled it off and it said, "You missed this too." And I thought that was it, career definitely over. And she said to me, "Let's go and have a coffee." So we went and had a coffee, and she said, "No, you've done all right," but she says, "I want to tell you something, Michael, that you have to listen, or you're not going to progress in this industry or in any industry." And she said, "It's not always about you or your opinion. Your opinion was very good. You come out and you proudly said to me, 'Yep, I think that room is to London hotel standard.'" And she said, "It was from your perspective. But she says, let me take you through the journey of a customer. A customer has a very busy day. They've maybe just arrived by plane, then train, then taxi to the hotel, or they've been at a conference all day, or they've been at a show. They arrive warm and hot and down to go to the loo into the hotel. They check in, they go up to the bedroom, they throw their clothes onto the bed, and they go into the loo and they sit down. They say, 'Oh, thank goodness I'm in the London Tower Hotel.' And they sit down and they look up and they see a little cobweb in the top corner where you hadn't checked. But that's the view they have. And then they sort of give us the benefit of the doubt. They go in and they start to fill the bath with London Tower suds. And they take off the rest of their clothes, and the bath's prepared, and they get into the bath and they slip down underneath it. And they look underneath the tap, and they maybe find a wee bit of gunge or a toenail or something that's been left there that your housekeeping team missed and you've missed, because guess what? The housekeeping team looked at it from their perspective, and you looked at it from your perspective, but nobody looked at it from the customer's perspective. And what she said to me then, and we had a conversation transformed my life, she said, "From now on, Michael," she said, "when you think you're there, and when you think you've made a decision or decided on something or designed something, stop, pause, get into the other person's shoes," whether that's a customer, an employee, someone in a relationship, your bank manager or whatever, and try and look at it exactly from their point of view. And she says, "I guarantee you, you will change your approach." And I took it away after sort of swallowing my pride, and I used that in everything I did. As we grew businesses, we designed businesses from customers' perspectives. We designed new products from customers' perspectives. We got in their shoes regularly. We had a training program called In Their Shoes, where we set big pairs of shoes on the ground, and team members had to go and step into them. My dealing with partners in the business, with bank managers, I get into the bank manager's shoes before I went to a meeting. When I thought I had the report for them, I always changed it when I get in to their shoes. When we employed team members and staff members, we didn't go to the market saying, "This is what we want you to do when you come to us." We get into their shoes and they said, "What would people want to do if they were working within the street or working within one of the businesses that I was involved in?" And it transformed the way that we did things. So I would say to you, you learn so much more from looking at it from another person's perspective. There's always improvements to your approach, always improvements to your approach. It will enhance your decision making. It can avoid and it can dilute conflict. And I would really encourage you to get into the habit of just pausing everything you do, every decision you make, whether you're going for a job. My daughter at the moment is in London deciding whether or not to go for this job or stay with this company and move to another department. And she says, "Dad, I'm stepping into the shoes." And she's doing that by going and asking people already in the job, really doing her research and what have you, and it's really helping her make the decision for her. So I would encourage you to do that. On the scale of less happy and successful people to more happy and successful people, I've found in my experience those people that really get into other people's shoes and look at it from another perspective are more happy and more successful. And finally, throughout the journey, because it is a journey, you're here today, but you're not there yet. You are your own greatest asset. And I would encourage you throughout that journey to look after the person that you spent most time with, which is yourself. Encourage you to work hard, but working hard and being open to continuous learning is absolutely vital. It's crucial on your journey, but it's absolutely no use to you if you neglect your mental and physical health. You will sometimes fail. You will sometimes be unfairly treated. Some opportunities will seem to pass you by, trust me, and you will sometimes be very, very, very frustrated. You have a choice when those occurrences, which will be regular, happen. You can become a victim, or you can become resilient. My experience says, be very clear and robust about your rights. Don't ever let the bullies win. Be clear and robust about that. But don't let the victim syndrome take over your thinking processes, because it will just stifle you on your journey. Be resilient, stay positive, talk that challenge through with your colleagues in the workplace, or your friends, or your families, or your mentors. Get good mentors. Then take the next step in your journey, because guess what? That fear will pass. Remember along the way as well, even though celebrate today, you do know a lot because you've got a certificate, or you'll soon have a certificate to prove it. But guess what? You're still allowed to say, I don't know, but I'm eager to find out. And you're also still allowed to say, I'm incredibly busy at the moment. I'll get back to you. I really want to help, and I'll try to. I'll signpost you to someone, but at the moment, I'm really busy. So, you don't go out and try to be the best. You just try to be a better version of yourself every day. Get out there, go for it, do it. The world needs you. Boy, in the uncertain times that we're in, and who organized your graduation on probably the most uncertain day we've had in years? The world really needs you. And remember, you guys have a unique, totally unique, each and every one of you, individual set of positive qualities. So savor today. It's time to pause today, not stop. Time to reflect and celebrate. Dream a little, but keep on learning, keep on doing, enjoy the journey. Thank you.